Yo, howdy how. So just a little bit different today. Building a complete site from scratch. So I'm starting up this Discord community for freelancers like me, and this is the sort of howdy how. Hello, Verpixeled. Yeah, and this is essentially the landing page for it. All memberships getting dealt with by a service called Memberful. So essentially, what all this site is doing is providing necessary content. So like what it is. We could do like a little about page for it as well. The most important page, code of conduct, I just sort of started messing around with in Sketch, like how I want content to lay itself out. And the that's just favicon. We'll get around to that as well. Build it with Eleventy, of course. What else? So key things about the Eleventy build. I've sort of set out the shell of it already, which I'll just show you. So we've got the if you've done the Eleventy course, you recognise the setup because essentially this is like lesson 22 on the course. Pro tip: if you've done the course, you've got access to the course. If you want to start a project with Eleventy, this is the perfect point, I think, to create a base project for yourself. Just download the project files for this, well done, and then I've just cleared it all out and simplified it, because really all I've got at the moment to worry about is just a home page, and then I'm going to add a page, and then the oh, sounds like one of my children's just fallen over out there. Anyway, so I'll just sort of crack on with it. I'll just show you where we're at with content at the moment. So you can see, if I show you the sketch, for those of you that were on yesterday, it'd be no surprise to you that I'm sat here in Sketch, because I chucked this look and feel together last night after a very frustrating, hi Walden, you know, a very frustrating Figma sesh yesterday. I always, whenever I come and use Sketch after a while, it always feels so much more polished and mature. But then I remember when Sketch first came out, I used to think the same about whenever I went into Photoshop, so I suppose it's all saying hello. Oh, nice, plenty of people coming in, which is good. Right, I don't know how long this is going to go on for. This could be a couple of hours, I suppose, maybe. We'll see how we get on. It's not a very complicated build by any stretch. I've done the sort of boring bits already, because you don't want to sit and watch me like set folders up and stuff. I try and keep things as sort of fast paced as I can. So we'll just get straight on with it. We'll go Illustrator open. Actually, I don't really need it. You can just blast out of Sketch. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab out my my logo. I'll knock it out as an SVG. I'm also going to keep the colours in there, because we're going to pull it in as an image rather than inline it. And then, so I export that. Or should I inline it? Do you know what? Let's inline it. Yeah, let's put it on here first. We're going to use SVG, OMG, Jake Archibald's handy thing, and I've got the logo mark as a symbol in Sketch. And then pop that. Yeah. I've already set the design tokens up. I think so anyway. What size is that? 32. What am I even? I think I'm even working with a type scale here, but the real design work starts in CSS, so I suppose I could use the major third. 5, 6, 7, yeah. Big headings though, what are you saying? 85, good grief. How far are you up the scale? Let's just see how you look at, so I'll round it down to 76. Oh yeah, okay, let's do that. 61. So I've sort of stuck to the scale a bit. What I'm doing here is essentially, well, you'll see, we can do some cube stuff, cube CSS stuff. Cube CSS, if you're not already aware, if I just go in the chat here and say cube.fyi, that's what we're using as the methodology, and also Gorko, which is already set up, which is a nice bit of sass. Happy days. And then this, might as well send you a link to this as well. It's a great tool for creating like a type scale. Right, so we're going to stick with that measure there, and I'm just going to add some more levels to it. Just going into Vim. So we're just going to pop into the config file, and I've got my size scale here, so I'll just skip down to line 16. It looks like I've already on the right sort of path already. 4.2. Oh no, this is a major fourth. Sorry, perfect fourth on this, remember rightly, on the course. That's fine. So do 1.25. A perfect fourth is, I'll show you in a second, it's just a little less extreme. 156. Yeah. 6, 195, 244. Oh, maybe I didn't use a measure. Maybe I used the thingy. 3, 5, 3. I'm gonna add another 1,000 in there. Gorko base size times 3.8, and then finally the major one can be 4.76. Here to thanks for making Gorko. Oh, no worries. I made it purely for myself. I'm glad people find it useful. There's a great PR that's gone on there, and greetings here to Stan Eleventy. Aren't we all? Don't we love Eleventy? So someone, Joel Carr is called, smart person, is running off an issue that we've been chatting about. Essentially, we're going to have some cool custom property support. So not just, you can generate custom properties easy with Gorko, it's not a problem. You can generate whatever you want. What this is going to do though is, instead of just like directly using like a value, so like the color value, so the hex code is FF00FF, you might set that to be a root custom property. And then what we're going to instruct Gorko to do is to use the reference to the custom property rather than the value itself, for like really dynamic UI stuff. Web components as well. Oops. So should be really useful. Still whip at the moment. So yeah, can't wait to see what they come up with. Poor Joel's had me and Rob Dobson throwing the feedback at it. So okay, so we've got our size scale. I've already set the typography up into, and what we do, I'm not going to go too much into it because we cover this in the course, but what we've got here is Gulp Task, which grabs Google Fonts, pulls them down locally, and then we serve them locally instead of serving them from Google Fonts. Handy. And then what we end up with at the moment is just this good old HTML, and that's what we're going to start off with. So the rest, what was I doing? Oh yeah, so let's just commit this. Size scale setup. Before we move on, actually, it's a perfect fourth that I used for the course. I think that's it. See, it's pretty big scale. Yeah, there's some big ones. I like the mine, the third one as well, quite a lot. It's a nice scale. Look at that, he's got a lovely size curve. Anywho, if you're here to watch me build a website, not talk about what do you call it, size scales. So I just what I've got here, so the layout is, if I use index.md, so I'm using a layout called home, and home is based off a layout called base, which is here. And the base layout basically contains all of the boring bits of a web page, you know, the head, meta information, stuff. And then it's just got like the body and the main content. And then inside of that main content, main is a block. And I think that's just going to work fine on this site because everything is inside of a layout is going to be the main anyway. So whatever we put inside of home, inside of home's content block content is going to show up inside of the base layout. It's not a Shopify liquid, it's Nunjugs, but they're very, very similar to each other. Very, very similar. I think, if I remember rightly, Eleventy's default is liquid. I know I used to do a lot of Jekyll stuff, and that was liquid. And that was pretty decent. I like liquid, it's good. Okay, so let's just have a look at what we've got. We can start thinking about semantics and things, okay? So I'm going to probably just get all this in an article, but I could just have it all in the main as well, because it's the single element. It's the only thing. But I want to use. In fact, that's what I will do. I'm just going to use a main. Don't need to use an article. Well, you can use an article for this page, but we don't need to bother using one for this. And what we're going to do is, although this is just sat on its own, I'm going to work in a footer as well, potentially a header. We'll see how it goes. But the first things first is we've got to work out like where we're at, like what are we looking at here. So we've got a heading, and I've already sort of implemented how I'm going to do that already, because we need a heading, but it's obviously not visible at the moment, but we can handle that. It's fine. Then that's just going to be a paragraph, you know, good old paragraph anchor. It's going to be a link and another link. So it's pretty simple, really. So let's build it out. So what I'll do is I'll make a block. We'll just call this intro. I need to turn that into a div here. An article is totally redundant in this context because it is the main content is just there and there's nothing else in there. So there's no real need for that sectioning at this point, really. And I learned this from did some work with Leonie Watson, who's like really smart accessibility person. Don't really need it on this page either, because inside of the main is just the content and nothing else. So there's no need to sort of section it even further, because the main's already a landmark role. So there's no need to actually add another landmark inside there. It's good learning. Makes you feel a bit weird, but you know, it is what it is. Always be up for learning new things, especially with HTML. Okay, so I know that I've got that content already. I don't think I'm even going to bother putting element classes in these, because I know what I've got in here. So if I just empty that and then just do meta desk, which I've already got, and that handles the actual SEO rubbish and that. You see I've already got the H1 in there. I'll show you where that lives in a second. And then we've got a link, and I've already set the front matter up for that. So if I go back into the index page, I've got a button, and then inside of the button I've got text and URL. So I know the button's going to be a block. I'll probably use it elsewhere. Yeah. Sorry, there we go. No, not button. Ref. We can say button URL because it was like button and then it was indented, and that's essentially like a JSON object. And then button text, not to sort of plug my course too much, but that is, you learn all that sort of business in there. And do you know what? Screw it. Put a link to the course in the chat as well. Why not? You only live once. There you go. So we've got that. Join $5 a month. Sweet. And then maybe I will add a little section here, and I'll say div class intro. Like that. Nice to have a block there to work with, and then ref, and then we've also got a code of conduct object, so just do coc dot URL, coc dot text. Could have hard coded all this in the markup, would not have been a big deal, but you know, is what it is. It's handy to have stuff set in the front matter of the page, I find. So we're a community, a friendly premium Discord community, freelancers who look out for each other. Sweet. Join, that's going to link out to Memberful, and then that'll link out to the code of conduct, which we've already got a link to, but we haven't set the page up yet. Happy days. So then what we'll do is pop into the site head partial, and that's been pulled in by base.html. And what I'm doing in here already is I'm basically saying, if we're on the home page, so if page URL is just a slash, which is the home page, then render a h1, and then what I'll say is h1 class equals visually hidden. And I'll show you that utility in a second. And then otherwise, if the page isn't there, I'm going to say add logo mark, which is that SVG, so I'll add that as well. SVG OMG, open desktop, add the logo mark first. Lovely, and that's just going to scrunch it down. I'm going to keep the color in there. I don't need to bother setting the colors on the SVG. Should copy that, copy the markup. And then what I'll do is I'll say vim source includes partials, and then I'll do logo mark.svg. And then we'll pop that in there. Logo mark's not really going to do anything, so say area hidden equals true. And then another trick is say focusable equals false. Just like older browsers trying to focus it. And I'll keep the rest in there, that looks fine. Let's do the same process with the actual logo itself while we're here. Open SVG, logo. I'm just going to paste a link to that because it's actually really useful. Really useful tool. I use it quite a lot. I could do stuff with gulp, but what's the point? It's like the one and only time I'll do this is now. Partials and then logo.svg. Let's just do the same. Area hidden equals true. Focusable equals false. So we can go on back on the home page quickly, and then so we've got that P in here, and we know because that logo is hidden as well, we can safely just include it. So you can put anything in your partials or your includes folder and include it on the page, and that's how I'm putting the CSS on there as well. But if I just do include, was it partials on it? Partials logo.svg, like that. And it should be a pretty beefy logo, but there you go. Looking all right. And you see that heading's vanished, visually vanished, but it's to assistive technology like a screen reader, it'll still announce as a heading one. So then for I need to change that title tag, that's a bit rubbish, isn't it? Let's do that. So it'll announce to say a rare community, a friendly premium Discord community of freelancers who look out for each other, and then join for £5 a month. By joining, you agree to the code of conduct. Lovely stuff. Easy as you like, and look how lovely and clean those. Just go on the here, and then I'll say meta title. Just to override that. Cool. Now I'll show you how that works quickly. So I've got this partial, and it essentially generates loads of stuff, all the rubbish that you need for like social media and all that. And so it's looking for them in the page. So you see I've just set that, I've just set meta tile. And then it's like set page title equals meta tile. And then it's like if there's no meta description set, look for a summary. And because it's just like it's pretty forgiving is Nunjux, that'll be then null. So then the next check will fail. And it essentially just goes through social image. I'll probably design one of them. In fact, like that, my little notes here. So I'm going to try and launch this tomorrow. I've got all the other bits ready. It's got to write a proper code of conduct and yes, do some more setup in Discord for it. So that's our side. So let's just commit that. Homepage markup. And then what I'll do is I'm going to say vim source includes layouts generic page.html. And then inside of here is extends layouts.best. So the same thing as the home page. And then inside of this block, we can then again, so we don't need to use an article as per Leonie's advice, and then we'll say definitely not use a section either, because that can be another pointless regioning thing. One thing that was like terrible when HTML5 first came about is that everyone started just using the HTML5 elements and it's like nulling them by overusing them. Section is just classic for that. Everyone was using sections rather than divs, thinking they were making things better, but the div has a job, it's a division, so it's really useful. React community might find them a little bit more useful than they should do, but you know, hey ho. And what I tend to do is call this post, which isn't ideal, but there. And then inside of post, I'll just do h1 title, and then content safe. Safe is a filler that Nunjux unescapes the generated HTML with. And then what we'll do is we'll just say vim source code of conduct .md, and we'll add a title conduct. We'll add a layouts generic page.html. And what we'll do is we'll have a date 2020 10, we're at 14th. And then what I'll do actually, so I'm just going to borrow Piccadilly's pages code of conduct. So it will be, I'll use Piccadilly's as a starting point. Piccadilly's got a code of conduct because there's a discourse community and another Discord that I run that runs off the same code of conduct. And Piccadilly is going to have a Discord as well in the future, which should be fun. Discords all over the place. Right. So now when I go to slash code of conduct, we'll have a page with some HTML in it. and then a reminder to add logo mark. That's why I put that there, because I forgot. So I had, get rid of that. Include partials logo mark .svg. Osh. And we'll end up with that eventually. Happy days. Looking good. Good as it can look in plain old HTML. So now I've got that as well. What I'll also do is just create this rest of the scaffold of the site. So I'll say CP code of conduct source about. Was that the only page? And I need a thank you page as well for when someone signs up. Little Ipsum. Chuck a couple of paragraphs in here. Oh, there we go. Oh no, it's the about, yeah. Oh, I thought, don't need that anymore. About, what's the other one? Thank you. In fact, let's just do that again. Lovely. Okay. Thank you. So they should all be working now. About. Thank you. Sweet. Let's commit that. What did we do? We made generic page layout and content scaffold. Happy days. So that's that sorted. Let's now start looking at some CSS. So let's say we're going to use Cube CSS as the methodology. I'm not going to sit and explain what Cube is too much. The essential part, like brief summary, is CSS. We use CSS as much as possible, as in like global CSS. And then we have utilities, that's what Gorko generates for us, with tokens as well. We've got compositions, that's like layout based, and then blocks and exceptions. Probably not going to do any exceptions. And that's about it. If you've done every layout stuff, thank you. If you've done every layout stuff, every layout is essentially a composition. That is what it is. So let's have a little think where we're at. So I've already set the colors in there, and I've already set the type scale. I've already set a lot of that stuff up. Now I've already given the game away with a couple of the blocks. So we've got that intro block here, which is going to do this sort of centered layout. Okay. In fact, we will use an exception. Yes, we will. That's going to be fun, actually. And then we've got this gradient, which I'm actually going to change the gradient to be more like this. Because what I want, essentially, is the bottom of this to be a solid color, because the exception that we'll do on here will make this is going to be an element on the page, and it'll be a fixed positioned full width and height element. Because what I'm going to do is a really subtle animation and just on the home page, so just when the user's on there, and the animation will essentially be this really slowly sort of pulsing in size, maybe skewing a little bit. But then on the pages like this, we don't really want that. And as you can see, that's going to go beyond 100 view height, really. So then we'll set the background of the body to be that colour, and then that gradient will blend beautifully into like a solid colour at the bottom. That's what I'm thinking. See how it works. The intro, we'll use, probably just use Flexbox to do this actually. Candice is good. If this was gonna, I know that I'm gonna add some more stuff, right? So I'm gonna add some links maybe in the footer or up here, probably up here. Now, what Flexbox will do that's really useful for that is that it'll allow us to allow an area to just grow in size. We could use grid inside of that, maybe. But if you were to just use grid on its own, if this is just to be on its own, as it is now in Sketch, what you can do is you can say display grid, as long as this thing is 100% high and wide. Then you just say place item center, and it'll just plop everything into the middle like that. So because we know that's got like that div intro there, it'll stick all that in the middle. Pretty handy. But yeah, we'll see. So what should we do first? Let's go into the base and apply some tokens on there first. So what Gorko has done is it's taken all these things that we've set. So it's taken the size scale and it's taken the colors that I've added. And then inside the config, I'm generating utility classes that I can apply. I've kept this pretty slim. I'm going to slim it down even more. Yeah. Probably don't want weight, to be honest. Certainly don't want any breakpoints, I don't think. Maybe I'll just keep that breakpoint, but I'll then... no. Text can be responsive still. Gap top, that can be standard. Just try to reduce the amount of guff that I generate to start with. Flow space, standard. Colors always going to be standard. Okay. Just reduces the footprint. Now that's already been pushed onto the page. I just view source on here. What the gulp task essentially does is it pushes the finished article CSS into the includes, which then allows me to include it directly on the page like this, base.html. And you see there on line 12, include CSS, critical CSS. Right. So what we'll do is we'll add class equals. So we'll look in the config again. What's the color called? Dark shade. So that's the bottom. What I've set is this to be dark, and then this to be the dark shade. Okay, so dark shade. And then because that's going to be dark, we want to make sure it's got light text. And then what we'll do is we'll say font base on there as well. And that'll totally transform the way it looks. Oh, he thinks. Oh, and oops. It would do if I did it right. BG. Wash. So that's that bottom purple, right? So what we should do then is div role equals presentation. Div. And then we'll just call this class, and then we'll just call this gradient BG, like that. Is it Sketch where you can get the CSS out from your? No. So we'll make it in Colorzilla, the old classic. So we've got gradient BG there. So what we'll do is we'll say vim source, and it's going to be utility, and gradient bg.scss. Need to import that. Try and keep things in alphabetical order. And then that's it. And then what we'll do is open it back up. Yes, because I never actually made the file. Gradient BG. So already a block, it's a div. So it's a width 100%, height 100%. We need that because we're going to make it a fixed position. So that's going to break out of the flow. And also top, left. And we're not going to make it a fixed position, we're going to make it absolutely positioned. My bad. And there we go. Absolutely. Quite pretty working. Just put prettier on, can't be living without that. And I like to do this code with my fists and let the computer fix it for me. There we go. Might have to sit down in a sec. Got tired legs today. There we go. That's what we want. Yeah, let's sit down before we. Right. So let's get into the real deal now. Oh, right. Let's see if this is working already. Background red. And there it is. Now, it doesn't take a genius to notice that there's something not quite right here. And that is that it's showing above everything else. So, quick fix for that. Z index -1. And then that'll just shift it behind everything else that's got no stacking context. Because the stacking context is 0 by default. So because nothing else has got one set, we can shift it behind. What we could do is you could set that to Z index. You could set this to Z index 0, then you could set the main to be Z index 1 if you wanted, which is no point. Do like that. And then what we need to do is generate a gradient. So colors, gradient editor. There we go, nice simple one. No, do you know what? We'll keep it really simple and we'll just do vertical. There we go. And then this color, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to FF00FF so I can find it easily. We don't need all of this stuff. Just do hex colors. In fact, let's just do RGBA. Because that's the background, and I just want this background linear gradient. I don't need the prefixes. It's 2020. Since auto prefix are rubbish anymore. Okay, so that should look pretty wild. And then the really handy thing that you can do with SAS is because we're storing the colors as hex values, right? And Gorko gives us this function called getColor, which will grab one of those colors set in the config. So I know this one's dark shade at the bottom, and it'll convert it into an RGBA value for us on the fly, which is super smart. SAS is awesome, it really is. Yank that, same again, and then we'll just call this one dark, like so. And there we have it, so it's looking good. Then we'll do an exception. So first we'll do a keyframes pulse. Oh. God, I'm going to see if I can remember how to do a CSS animation without looking it up, because I've not done one of these for a long time. I think it's 0% or that. Ooh, do we have the colon? God, I can't remember. Okay. And we'll say transform scale equals 1. And then 100% transform scale equals 1.5. And then we'll say rotate 3, 4, 5 degrees. There we go. No way did they get that right. And then what we'll do is we'll say, we can do, because we're using SAS, we can do it like this. So ampersand, which is equal to gradient BG, and then we'll say data animated equals true. Oh, I can't remember how to actually do an animation though. CSS animation. Oh, generator, I like them. Mista, what's this? Ooh, that's cool, isn't it? Oh, that's lovely. Oh. That's all I want is the CSS code that actually implements it. The code. That's what I want. Not really interested in the cubic bezier. So it's animation, pulse, and the duration. Let's make it nice and slow. 2000 milliseconds, 2 seconds, linear. What's both stand for? Oh, I don't want it to repeat. CSS animation repeat. W3 schools, fuck off. Oh, that's it, infinite. Yeah, 1 second infinite. In fact, I'd let it use the normal ease in. Infinite. Oh. Everyone's doing it differently, so they're doing name, duration, linear, delay. Duration, time and function. Well, let's just try that, see what happens. And then we can add that. Because we know in the homes, we're on the home again, same logic as before. So say if page URL equals slash, then add that data attribute. In fact, we'll add the space there instead. Data animated equals true. And if I'll skip back to you. Check that worked. Yep. Yeah, it's doing it. It's just not very smooth. All right. Well, can tweak that in a minute. I remember doing this on an old personal site and like absolutely trashing my fans, which I think it's doing now as well. Then the gradient bottom. We say they've got that data attribute on there, so if I take that off, the animation doesn't happen, which is good. Happy days. Okay. Maybe. I don't think the timing function was working on it, was it? set that back to true again. Just do 200 milliseconds. That's like a party. I'd tell you it'd be even slower than that, really. Maybe we just do 10,000. Yeah, like that. I like the way it jumps though. Oh, we'll get onto that. There we go. And then because the bottom of the gradient is the darkest purple. Oh yeah, look, it's a bit dodgy, isn't it? Do you know what? I'm just going to scrap that idea for now. That'll be a nice to have. Let's clean it up on the base as well. We'll keep the actual element though, because that'll still provide value. Just having the gradient at the top of the page and then letting it flow into a solid color afterwards, which is up there. Okay, so let's just commit that. Now, in terms of like global styles, animate direction, alternate. Oh yes, could do. Remind me at the end. Let's get the site built, and then if we've got a bit of time at the end, we'll add some nice bits to it. Right, body class. Okay, so yeah, in terms of global CSS, not huge amounts to do on this. It's a very simple site, but we've still got the stuff to do. Now the body's fine. We've got the body. What I'm actually going to do, just while I'm in here, is I'm going to set the base font size on the body to be the 500 size as well, instead of the base 1 rem. Oh, I just did exactly what I was trying not to do. Text, and that uses one of the size scales, so use 500. There we go. Because that's what size I want content to be regardless. And then what I want to do is style all links and say the color is the current color. Happy days. And then what we could just say is on hover, text decoration is none. And then I want to set global focus styles. So you can do that just by doing this focus pseudo select like that. And what I'll say is 2 pixels dotted, and then get the light color like that. And then I like to set an offset on that line as well. Offset 25 rem. Like that. And now I want to focus something nice, consistent focus throughout everything else. In terms of the body, what we're going to do is we'll go back to the top. And we'll say body display flex direction column. Oops. And then the main will say flex auto. So right now, the main isn't really, it's not doing anything, but it's filling the viewport at the moment. And then the thing is as well, I'll show you, if I take that visual hidden class off there, what setting that flex auto does is it instructs the main element to sort of to automatically flex. So flex auto adds I can't remember what the default settings for flex are. I think it's flex grow 1, flex shrink 1, flex basis auto. Yeah. So you're saying the flex basis is automatic. So the I think auto these days equates to max content, I think. And then flex grow is 1. So it's like take 1 space, essentially. It's quite similar to how FI units work. And then also shrink if needs be. Makes it a totally flexible box, which is cool. And what that means is I can add like a site head, and I know that whatever's inside the main will just grow automatically. And why that's useful is because we're going to also make this a flex element, also make it a column. Yes, we'll do column, so it still stacks things. And then what we'll do is just say align. In fact, no, I'll show you an even cooler trick. And that'll, again, it won't look any different. Does prettier in CSS add missing semicolons? It adds whatever you configure it to do. Works in CSS, JS. I think you can even do HTML with prettier these days. Okay, now what I want the body to have is a bit of space still. At least vertical space, I think. Yeah, I'll do that. So then I'll say padding, get size. In fact, let's do padding across all of the body. I tend to use, so with the size scales, 400 is like 1 rem. Whatever 500 is, so in this project it's 1.25 rem. I'll use that as my gutter sizing usually. Tends to keep things nice and clean. So we're starting to look decent now. Now what I'll do with the intro block here is create an actual block. Oops. I've got my keyboard set up in Alfred, so when I press this weird like S, that key that's under your escape key, it adds a back tick. Because when I was writing the Eleventy course, when I was like 20 lessons in, my hands were so tired from like writing thousands of words a day, and especially doing the triple back tick for code blocks. So I've just put it up here to make my life a little bit easier. It's a little pro RSI tip for you there. Seriously, by the end of that course, typing was painful to say the least. Right. So the intro block, we'll do all this in the same commit. So src, SSS blocks, and then intro. Now we could break this into separate CSS files as well if you really wanted to, but I think it's just an optimization too far for this. So you could generate a home CSS file and a page CSS file, but these are going to be so tiny, these components, it's not really worth it. So the intro, if I just do margin auto, that should hopefully do what I expect it to do. Nope, it's not doing it. That's because I didn't add it. Helps to import it, doesn't it? It's the import blocks at the bottom. Import. Import blocks intro. Okay. Pop. So that's a little trick for you there. So remember, main is a flex element, and what we've set to main is just display flex direction column. I don't think it really matters which direction we actually put it in at this point. The reason I've set it as column because if you to accidentally add another item inside here, it'd just stack, so it wouldn't be a disaster. but then we do get the power of Flexbox at our disposal. And what that equates to here is that we set everything to be auto. So we set the margin to be auto. And what that does is it says, right, it's basically whatever the size of this element is now, and then apply margin of the content inside of this element, and then apply margin auto there. So if I, for example, just set the max width on the P's to be 40 characters like that, you see that the auto margin recalculates itself and sets it in the middle. So it's a handy trick. So let's start laying this block out then. Have I got flow in here already? Yeah. So flow, if I just quickly show you flow. What this does is it selects direct siblings of the element that you put flow on. Then it applies margin top to them, and that's using this lobotomized R selector. And what I do is I use a custom property. So I'll look for custom property called flow space, and then if I can't find that, then I set a default value, and the default value here is a reference to the sizing scale, and we're saying 600 there. I'll probably actually set that to 500, not 6,500, like that. So where flow space just hasn't been defined anywhere, so by default we're going to use that 500. But what that means is that on your actual compositional layout, you can set flow space, so you can just affect what the spacing in between the elements is per context, and it's handy as heck. And I'll show you how that works in here. So we'd go down to there, we'll say no, there we go, intro flow, and it'll add that space there for us. So then what we want to do in this intro block is do a bit of compositional stuff in here. Now, we know everything inside of this block is going to be center aligned. So the first thing you can do in there is you can say it's text align equals center, and that'll get you most of the way there. But then, as you can see in here, this is going to be an inline block element, so that'll be fine. That'll be fine as well. We're going to set a max width on this, and we're going to probably set a max width on this logo as well. So we need them to sit central, even though they're effectively blocks. So we can use that same selector style here. So it says direct elements inside of the intro block, and then we'll say margin inline auto, and that's using a CSS logical property. And then what that means, is that not going to work in Chrome? Is it still only in Firefox? That is so bad. To the inline start. There's no point in using them. Well, essentially what margin inline does is it adds inline margin left and right, but because we can't use that shorthand right now, what I do is just say margin left or margin right, or it's more the inline the logical properties are more useful when you're aligning stuff with each other and then adding space. There's actually a tutorial on here somewhere, if I remember rightly. Oh, maybe not. There we go. CSS logical properties. Yeah. And this is the example I use here. So you've got like an icon and then a label. But then if you go into like right to left, so like a good example of a language that's right to left is Arabic. Then because you added left margin to the label, that margin would just stay there even though the content has switched. So you use margin inline star. In Western, left to right, inline star is left, but then inline star in right to left is right, so it just automatically creates the correct spacing. Hella useful. Not so much today though. There you go, I'll put a link in there for you. So, we're looking good. We're looking good. Let's just, I don't like the size of that logo. And because we're in a block, I'm just gonna target the elements that I know are in there. So I'll say max width. Remember, because I've added the auto size in that, I can comfortably, auto margin, I can comfortably add sizes as and when I want. I'll say SVG max width, I don't know, 400, what's 400 divided by 16, 25 rem. And then maybe we'll say the P, 40 was a bit small, so let's say 50 CH. I want Inter to definitely use that medium weight, so I'll say font weight 500. Oops, ooh, what's going on with this SVG then? I just totally broke it. Oh, there's no view box on there. Ah, god damn it. Remove. Ah, so many switches. There we go. That'll be right. Logo, SVG. I'm just gonna, do you know what? I'm glad that worked. There we go. And let's add these attributes back in. There we go. It's a little bit small. Back into the block, and then we'll say max width is, let's go for 30 rem. Beautiful. Now we've got quite a lot of space there in that logo. So we want to reduce the amount of flow space. So remember we're using that. Now the flow space isn't going to apply at the moment to this link because it's still an inline element, so vertical margin will apply to it. But it'll apply to that because it's a block, and that's why I put it in a block, because I wanted it to be sure to work. But that's cool, because what we can do here then is do that custom property. And with Sass, you've got to interpolate these functions, but it's no big deal. We'll say get size 300 instead, which is like one less. Just squidge that down a little bit. And then what I'll do is I'll say anything that follows the P. So I'll do P plus star, so direct sibling of a P. I want to do flow space, might as well just nick that whole line. I want a bit more space there. I've not really done the spacing on that static design. I wanted to wait till I got into the real context. Now that at the moment is not going to work because the it's still inline, but we're gonna get that to that in a minute. We'll do the button styles in a minute. But the important thing is it's there. So if I actually just set that to be display block now, it pushes that stuff down automatically. And this is the beauty of compositional style layout. Is like, I don't know what follows that paragraph. Well, I do, but I don't. I can't guarantee it. But what I can say is, like, I know that this P is going to be like a lead element essentially. So I want it to have space. So I don't care what you are, if you're an image, if you're a div, whatever you are, just take some more space on there. Happy days. So that's the whole idea of compositional layouts, is creating these sort of flexible, forgiving systems. And then the last thing we'll do before we do the button is we'll just eyeball this. We'll try and keep it, yeah, like that. So what is that? 39, 40 CH instead of, and a CH, if you haven't heard of a CH, is a essentially the width of a 0 in the font that you're working with. Really handy for typesetting. There's an EX unit as well, which is the height of an X unit. I think quite a few people use that for line height. I prefer to do unitless line height. There you go. And that's looking all right at the moment. And in terms of the intro, as you can see, there's not much visual styles now. There isn't. It's just all layout styles. There's text align, there's margin, there's widths. You're running a font weight there. Could just get rid of that, because I don't think we actually even need it. I think that was adding a false font weight on there anyway. Yeah, what weights are we even pulling down? 500 and 900. What I could even do then is, remember on the body we set the, when we're trying to type critical CSS. If I go down here, instead of setting it over and over again, I'll just say font weight, it's 500, like that. So by default we get 500 weight. Then we can go from there, lovely. Happy days. Right, so let's commit that. Add intro, compositional. What I do in some projects, like the more complicated projects, is for compositions, I'll have a folder called layouts. Oh, thank you. From Stay Safe in Germany as well. It sounds like you folks are having a similar rise in COVID hell like we are. So yeah, extremely stay safe. I'm gonna tweak this SVG, I think, because I think but I can fix that anyway. I want to keep it as compact as possible. Right, so we're looking pretty good so far. And this is just going to be responsive, you know. Ooh, or is it? What's going on here? Why did you not shrink? Why did none of you shrink? Intro. Max width 100%. Ah, there we go. That's fine. We can do that. This SVG is causing some real problems, isn't it? I just need to do width 100% automatically. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's fine. Let's just quickly add them in. Margin auto, max width 100%. And we'll do the SVG as a global style because we're going to have more of them. Okay. SVG, max width 100%. In fact, not max width, width 100%. Just fill. There we go. I think it's because, in fact, I don't want to do that. That's rubbish. What I want to do instead is get rid of those attributes on the SVG instead. I see. Look, that's fixing everything for us. Yeah, now we're cooking. Okay. I'd fire them. I've got I use Sizzy, which is cool, like responsive design thing. But I don't think this little Mac Mini can handle it right now. Fans are really going today. Keep eyeing up iMacs again because they are the best. Right, so let's have a think. We said we were going to do the button, didn't we? Okay. Just commit that out. I'll try and commit as little and often as I can. housekeeping. And also, let's do a little push as well, just in case the power goes out and fries my computer. Quick sip of my brew. Right then, let's see. So how far are we in? An hour and 10. We've done pretty well so far, haven't we? I may not actually finish this today on streams, but we'll see how we get on. We could do. So CSS time again. So CSS, new block, and we'll make this a button. And then inside of there, we're going to use a thing that I made a while ago. Button pal. There we go. I got fed up of seeing div buttons and the excuse of buttons are hard to style, so I set some nice base styles for buttons, even with stupid auto prefixes in there. But we're going to get rid of a lot of these styles, or at least change them. So like the background, it's not going to be that. It's going to be get color light. The color is going to be get color dark shade. Font pro tip, check this out, just go font inherit. It's not going to really make a difference because we're using an anchor to start with, but if you're using a real button, the default is, I think it's a sans serif by default. So what that font inherit does is essentially take whatever line the parent's font style is. So we know we've got into font weight 500, font size 500, pull all that down for us. Happy days. I might try the 900 weight on it though. Cute cursor pointer on there, text line center again for the main button element. Get that transition for now. We are maybe going to do something. Okay, so hover and focus. In fact, what I'm going to do is this. Border 3 pixels solid, and then the same color as the background. Okay, and then because this is going to be the focus stick, it's a rounded button, which I need to remember to do. Let's just set border radius for you. Radius. I don't know, 3 rem. See how that looks. What we're going to do is we'll just set the background here. So say get color dark. And then color, get color light, and then on the focus, it's already doing some outlining. We're not going to do that. We're going to actually say outline none because we're going to be handling focus with the border instead. Never get rid of outline styles unless you're going to do something better. I'm just going to quickly just clean this, refresh this chat so I can see. I always forget to go in multi-stream because I stream to YouTube as well. Sorry if you're on YouTube and I just ignore you. On Twitch instead. Outline none, and then what we do is we say border color. For now, we'll just say get color light. Maybe not. I might have to do a secondary color. What we'll do is we'll say light shade like that, and then button active. This is a little cheeky little trick. Is when it's active, so that's when it's been pressed. I do the transform and I set the scale to be 0.99, and it makes the button look squished when you press it. I've still got button palette open, yeah. So you can see that it's really subtle. Can't copy to my clipboard. It just makes the button look pressed in its corner. You've got a bit of shadow on there, which we're going to add. You essentially turn the shadow off as well, and that's just like really useful visual treat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change button to be ampersand. That did nothing. There we go. I had to escape it. And then change that to class button, and then we'll put these inside of that, like so. What am I doing for shadow? I'm just going to set this directly. 30 blur. I'm just doing RGB black here, 20 alpha. Right, and then finally box shadow 0, 0, 30 pix, RGBA, black is 0, and then 0.2. We'll see how that looks. Doesn't look like anything at the moment because I haven't imported it. Critical blocks, duplicate that line, and then oops, button. Still not working. Helps if I actually add the class to the element, doesn't it? 7. Pop. And there we go. Oh, look at that. Looking lovely. And you see there when you press it, it pushes it down. How's that focus style? Nice. Happy days. What I'll do is I'll just remove that shadow as well. And that will do for the button for now, because I am going to, in fact, what I'll do is this, right? Check this. We'll do a little bit of sexiness on it. So we'll do, on active, we'll say box shadow is 0. Sorry, none. And then on hover and focus, we'll grab that box shadow, bring it down here. We'll double that, and then what we'll do is we'll say transform scale, and then we'll just do 1.1, and then maybe we don't need to double it after all. Maybe we'll just do that, and then hover, focus, active. All 3 of those. Hover, focus, active, we'll say transition, box shadow, let's just do 250 milliseconds, ease in, out, and then we'll do transform, 200 milliseconds, ease. I think ease is the default anyway. Now, the reason why I add it to the active, focus, and hover is because I like the transition to stop once you've come off the state. Not a fan of like transitions like transitioning back out. I think it's more realistic for it to just reset back to where it was. It's a bit quick. But we need to do background as well. I want the background to be quick as you like, 150 milliseconds. Slow backgrounds and color to be the same. Yeah, and you see that it just drops back, and then when you press it now, it's a proper press. So, and you can see the shadow. It's very subtle. You probably can't really see it on the stream. I might actually give the shadow a little bit more contrast to start with. So let's just say like 3.5, and then it can go to 2. So it's a little bit darker now, and again, you probably can't really see it on the stream. Let's have a look on the monitor. Yeah, it's you can sort of see it. And when you hover, because you're further away, the shadow is going to grow in size, but it's also going to get less intense because you're blocking less light. And then, so imagine the light is like straight over the button, and there you go. And then when you press it, you're pressing it right down to the canvas, so then the light is gone. The light blocking is gone. Lovely. Okay. Why is that not? I don't know why, because button pal takes margin off. Don't need to do that. And we're cooking on gas. That's still a little bit dark now. It's 3.5. Let's just do 3. What am I? No. Okay. Getting there. Last bit. This lead paragraph, I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. Looking pretty cool. Yep, happy with that. I might actually make that button a different colour to start with. Get colour. Light shade. Not 100% convinced of the contrast of that now. I think we can do it automatically with. Oh yeah, 355. Slightly precarious though. We'll run with it. I might just make a dark purple instead. Let's do that. Config colors. We've already got dark. We've already got dark shade. So dark glare. I should set this to be our primary color then. You can do what you want on your own projects. You don't have to worry about naming. Right, what we're doing button and then color. Primer. Beautiful. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Okay, so friendly premium Discord community of freelancers who look out for each other. Looking good. Let's commit that. So that's pretty much the homepage done. I might make that actually. HTML intro for. Just gonna set that to root size. I think that's quite large. Yeah, that's more like it. A bit more space. It's taking visually. It was taking too much away from the actual button itself, which is not what you want. Okay. Right, so No, I'm just gonna take a quick break, get a drink, and then I've also got what is it cooking? Slow cooking. So I just want to give that a check. So give me 2 minutes, and then we'll carry on. I'll just put this into this mode. Cheers. Howdy, thanks for that. If you're interested, I'm slow cooking a bean casserole. It's like a Mexican bean casserole sort of thing. It's looking good. Thanks for watching the ad break as well. That helps me with like about 2p. But I'll have to. Okay, so we're looking all right on this page, I think. And then if we go on to the, I'm still not 100% sure about this button, but I think I'm going to obsessively tweak the stuff. Okay, so this at the moment, it's obviously inherited some goodies from thing, and you can see how that element works as well. So you can see how you get that lovely gradient at the top, and then as you scroll down, it just scrolls into the primary color, which is cool. We're good. Now this is just using Piccadilly's code of conduct at the moment, but we can do all our typesetting and stuff with this. And again, so back into Cube, this is compositional styles again, right? We just basically want to create rules and regulations for content to say, right, you need to do this, that, and the other. You need to say what the maximum widths are, what the behavior between elements is. So we're going to do that now. I started sort of playing with it in Sketch, which was cool. We'll do the like global heading styles as well. Quite a short paragraphs, I'm thinking. But I also need things to sit in the middle as well. So we need to add two things in there. So we've got that. We've got the logo mark. We need to tweak that actually. View box. Oh, let's do this by hand and see what happens. 103. I think it's that way around, or is it the other way around? SVGs. Oh, it's the other way around. SVGs, like wizard stuff in it. Anyone that can handwrite SVG is just a galaxy brain as far as I'm concerned. Right, so happy days. Looking good. And then what we're going to do is back into that site head. We will add a wrapper. I think I've already added that utility in there, but if not, we'll add it. And what the wrapper does essentially is, well, we'll see. Whoa, pushes everything into here. And then what I'll do is back into the logo mark. We'll create a quick block for this. Try that. Pull that in. What are you doing all the way over there? Oh yeah, it's in a wrapper. That's the wrapper doing its job. I'm going to tweak this wrapper because we've already got the body's given us the gutter on this side. So, and what I like to do in a wrapper is essentially what it does is I set a maximum width what I want the site's max width to be. So 70 is 1120 essentially. Then add some padding either side, and again that's using the 500 size I imagine. And then I do that same margin left auto, margin right auto, and then I add position relative on there because I guess if there's anything that's absolute within inside a wrapper, then you'd expect it to sort of sit in there nicely. So we'll just quickly open that up and we'll get rid of that padding. So there we go. This is beautifully now. until it gets used, and then we need to add it also to this page as well. So we'll go into generic page.html, and then we've got the post here. Now, do you know what? No point in creating two elements. I can just add it to both like that. If you're thinking, what the hell is he doing with those square brackets? If you go on that initial link that's shared in the chat, cube.fyi and then /grouping, it explains it. It's basically a grouping mechanism. Okay, and then we've got our wrapper there like that. Looking good, right? So the post is, again, it's going to be compositional styles. Okay, we know we've just got HTML in there. We don't really know what HTML we've got in there, but we want HTML to behave in the same way. Now, the first thing is we want to set a maximum width on content in there, because even though we've got that wrapper now, that's way too long for a line length. You want it to be way smaller than that. You want to aim between 60 characters, 75 characters for like long form text like that. Piccalilli is 50 characters, but that's because I use very large text and use Georgia as the font, so which again is quite a large font. So for this one, I'm probably going to go for about 60. I think we'll have a look. We'll have a little play. So we'll create that block. So even though it's a block, but we're still doing compositional styles. There's no, the composition part of Cube is, you don't necessarily have to have like a specific composition section. It's just it's a principle. It's the best way to describe it. And then what I'll do inside a post is I'll say Pete, delete, block quote, max width 60 characters, and then we'll pull that into critical. What for, eh? There we go. Oh, lovely. And then, yes. And that's because the main has got Lexibox on it. So we need to fix that. Because, yeah, so essentially because the main has got Flexbox on there, what we could do with the post is we could say align. What were we? Were we justify? Were a column, weren't we? Align self flex start. Oh, that's not going to work. Justify self flex start. None of them are going to work. So we're going to try. It's because I've got auto. Okay. So this is a curse and a blessing at the same time. But again, this is where we can use exceptions to work to our advantage, or even just create a layout block for it, which tempted. So what we do is we go into our base layout at this point, and instead of having the main inside of the base, we'll have the block there instead. We'll grab that control back, and then in the home one, we'll have our main, like so. Like that. Grab that block of HTML and then do that. And then what I can do is I can say class equals, what do we call it? We call it the center in whatever layout, center. And then what we do is go into the generic page template and put another main on there. ID main content. I'm not too worried about that ID because do that in every single site, so it's no biggie. It's not something I'm going to be changing. So that should fix that problem for us. Not quite yet, because we're going to move that flex to be inside of that block instead. So I'll show you that, like how we're going to work with that now. We need to make that link back home as well. Let's do that while I'm here, while it's top of mind. Aria label back to home. And then what are we doing? So we're going to click on that. So if I take that style off the main now, we want to make it flex auto still, because we want it to start. If there was a foot, we'd want that foot to be pushed to the bottom of the page. But the center, so I take that off, that pushes everything up there. And in fact, what I want to do now is actually, I wanted to add some more padding to the body. So I'll do that while I'm here now, while I can see it. I'm actually going to add quite a lot of vertical padding. I might even go up a level. Might even use that magic major keyword. Lovely. And then what I'll do is I'll create a block called center. It's actually more of a utility. The rule of the road with utilities for me is if it does one job and it does that one job well, it's a utility. So that's why wrap is a utility. This is why now center is going to be a utility. Is that still my clipboard? Yeah, it is. Silly me. Just yank that. Utilities. There we go. And now I need to import it. What did we call it? Center. Oops. There we go, back to where we were. Winner. So we've got that specific utility doing that one job for us. It's not affecting things globally, which we've got here. So this page is already looking all right, you know. I want to make that a little bit smaller. So let's first just add basic post and oops. Okie doke. I'm going to eyeball this again. $50. Let's go for that then. Now, if I remember rightly, we've got some duplication going. Oh no, it's 40. Okay. Ignore that. What I was going to do then is if there's some duplication on the go, that warrants a global style. So I was going to yank it out of the two blocks and then make it a global rule. Right, less CSS. Happy days. Right, so we now need to do some global styles. So we're going to jump back out of post, we're going to go into critical, and we're going to go to about here. And what we'll do is we'll start doing our headings. Now, I only go down to H3, especially this sort of site. First thing I do is set a nice tight line height, because Inter's got a nice, it doesn't have too many ascenders and descenders, so it works pretty well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sizing the type. So I'm going to say font size equals get size, and then what I'll do is I'm going to set it to be 800 by default. H2 and H3 can be 700, and that's just for smaller viewports. Do mobile first style, and then right before we import everything, I'll stick a media query in here, and there's a Gore code gives us a mixin for that. Remember the config I had the breakpoints set. And then what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to say font size, get size, major, H2, font size, get size 900, H3, font size, get size 800. Back up to here, font weight 900, and use that black font weight. And then, so that affects everything for us then. We get that nice difference in size, because you don't want those massive headings on smaller viewports, because it'll make it difficult to read. What I might actually do is increase the size of that media query as well, because that was a pretty big jump. In fact, I'm not using it anywhere else, so I'll change it to large. We'll change that to 60M. Critical media query, large. Yeah. Might just make that a little bit smaller. $650M. Cool. So now we're in the sort of flow and rhythm side of things. Now we know we've got a utility for this already. We've got the flow utility, so we can go into the markup again. We've got post and wrapper. Now wrapper and flow are both utilities, so we'll put them in the same group as each other, and then automatically we start getting some rhythm. Yeah, so we start getting that automatic margin on top of things. Now what you could actually do in post is set flow space to, instead of being that rigid 1.25 rem, which it is at the moment, we could just set it to 1M. And what that'll give you is an even nicer flow for content. It gives you essentially what it says is margin top 1M, so margin top whatever the font size is of the element that's got margin on it, and that gives us that lovely space between paragraphs and headings that way. But I also want paragraphs to have a bit more space anyway. I mean, this is already reading lovely as it is. What I might do is give the first paragraph a sort of lead treatment, and then might put a bit of space on the top of this as well. We can do that with a token. So gap top 900. Pop. There we go. That's the beauty. I mean, this is why I understand why all the lads like Tailwind CSS, is because it's very easy to be able to do that sort of thing. But I like to have a bit of balance, so I'm not hammering HTML attributes of loads of like unreadable classes, and that's pretty obvious what that class is doing. It's adding a gap to the top, you know. So that's that sorted. You can see the site's really come together. I mean, how long have we been streaming for? 1 hour and 50 minutes. We've gone from like a blankish HTML page to a site that's starting to look pretty good, and we've really not got much CSS whatsoever. And that's the CSS that we've got. It's pretty small, and you could probably optimize that even more and really drive down the utilities that are generated, which I might do. In fact, that's one thing I will do while we're talking about it, is set the text one to not be responsive because I know I'm not going to use that now. I set that to be standard. And when that's done, it reduces the CSS even more. It just removes that media query declaration for the font sizes. Happy days. Not too shabby. In the total page size at the moment, and this is including the browser dev tools, because we've got all that 78k. But if we were going to get rid of all that crap, we'd be looking pretty good. Service worker. I think I've got a cached service worker on the go there. Anyway, so of course, yeah, I've been working on Piccalilli today. So that's looking all right. That's a bit too big, that margin. So let's just go back. I'm hoping this is useful for those of you that are watching the process of this. Right, so looking good, looking good, looking good. Let's have a little think. We can set the because you can't add a class to every single list element. So we're sort of gonna have to reinvent the wheel a little bit for that flow. I'm going to make this a global style actually. Try to keep this post as small as possible. What are those heading styles? There we go. So then what I'll say is Lee plus Lee, margin top. We'll use floor space to do it. Floor space or 1M instead. And I'll add that. Now, I actually don't want to do that. Yes, I do. Then inside of here, I'll say lists actually have a floor space value of 0.5 rem. I'm going to push them up a little bit more. There we go. Happy days. I'm going to leave the list style there. I think they look pretty good. I think it's all looking pretty decent at the moment. Now what I want to do is probably add a little bit more space for a H2. I think, and I might add a bit more contrast of text size there between the H2 and the H3. Critical. Oh. So we'll set that to 700 on the scale, not 8,700. Lovely. And then the between paragraphs and headings. So back in the post, I'm going to say P plus star. Anything that follows a paragraph. When is your next course dropping? Next year. So next year it's going to be CSS from scratch. Well, that's the main course anyway. I might try and squeeze a little course out this year. We're going to open. I'm tempted to turn this into a course. It's a little timer that I've built for myself. This is running Electron at the moment, but I don't really like it in there. And it's built with React as well, so it'd actually be a React course. Can you believe it? But I was thinking it'd be good to do a React course where the focus is on like accessibility and stuff, which you don't very often see, to put it lightly. So P and then plus, like, so it's a combinator. We're saying anything that follows a P, change the floor space to B, get size 900 for now. We'll see how that looks. So that gives us that lovely space between paragraph tags, yeah? Now because we've got that lower spec, I can't say it, I'm from Yorkshire. You know the word, specificity. What we're going to do is, because wildcard has less specificity in the actual element selector, so we're going to say H2 and H3. I want them to actually have a flow space value of get size measure. Because I want each, in fact I just want the HTs to do that. I want each HT to be a proper section in the content. Especially the code of conduct, it's a lot of content to read. I want to make it as readable as possible for people. You can see that already, that's just completely transformed itself. Like if I actually just remove that, all the CSS inside of here, it looks all right because, you know, we've got space thanks to flow. But you can see that there's really long lines. It's really difficult to read. And with how many lines of CSS? 20 lines of CSS, we've got ourselves something that's like reads beautifully, you know. I'm more than happy with that now. That'll do the job. And that obviously works on all the pages as well. So like if I just go to about, I'm gonna pick that up nicely. And then the thank you page where I'll just basically say, check your inbox, pal. And there you go, it's looking pretty good, isn't it? I reckon that's a good place to sort of call it as well. Just getting on for 2 hours. I don't want it to be too long to watch this one. I think all I'm going to be doing now is obsessively tweaking things. But I think the general gist of it is there. Hopefully you've learned some Eleventy stuff, some CS. Let's just sort that button out. It is driving me mad now. Might keep that stroke on it though. Yeah, I like that. Oh yeah, it's looking good, isn't it? Lovely. Yeah, so lots of CSS, lots of cube, lots of, well, a little bit of Eleventy, not so much Eleventy stuff, but you know, hey ho. I hope you've all had fun. I'll catch you at the next one. I'm probably going to do tomorrow again, and I will carry on with the website from scratch stuff tomorrow. I just wanted to get this built today. Oh, what's the main reason to use Eleventy before we go? It's because it's easier for everything. And I've got some pages on the site, and I want it to be super light and super speedy. So Eleventy is the natural choice for that.